for your response to our queries. PS, I have not seen anything about your understanding of what an innovation agreement is. But from what you have written, it means that as a guarantor to KQ loan, the Republic of Kenya has now become, the innovation agreement has made now the Republic of Kenya to be the borrower, not the guarantor, the borrower, so that there is no issue of default by Kenya Airways, but if there is any default, it will be default by the Republic of Kenya. Now, since my first question will be, back in 2017, when we took over as a guarantor to this private, if I may say, entity. So let me rephrase. First, PS, is Kenya Airways a wholly owned government entity? Or is the government of Kenya a majority shareholder? And if not, if it's not a majority shareholder, then we will be subject to Section 59, 2C of the Public Finance and Management Act, which provides that the Cabinet Secretary shall not guarantee a loan in case of a private borrower unless there is sufficient security. So the first thing I want you to tell this committee is whether Kenya Airways is a private borrower or a public borrower. Section, if it is a private borrower, will you point to us, one, whether that guarantee has been approved by the National Assembly back in 2017, and two, whether at that time, following the dictates of Section 58(2)(e), there was a sufficient security for the loan. That's question number one. Question two is, assuming that back in 2017 there was an approval by the National Assembly, I am saying assuming, when we moved from a guarantor to KQ and became a borrower to this new entity called PEVCO, is it called something? It's not even the same parties that KQ entered into a deal with. But when we became a borrower, has that borrowing been approved by the National Assembly? Chair, those are the two questions. I will let my colleagues ask.
Yeah. Okay. If you could respond to. Okay. Yes.
Sorry. So I'm trying to be digital, so. Okay. So first, you asked about whether I understand what novation is, and
Yes.
my understanding is that novation is an agreement between two contracting parties, where one allows the other to substitute, to take up the roles. So in this case, KQ stopped paying the debts and the government of Kenya took over. And on whether KQ is wholly owned, I can only say that Kenya Airways is a limited company established by the Companies Act,
in which the government of Kenya owns 48.9% of the issued ordinary shares. It is a government-linked institution as defined by PFM. So it is a majority shareholder. I think I've answered your question.
Chair, I think that is not a correct position. Yeah, it is true. It is the government of Kenya owns 48.9%, but it may be majority shareholder, but it does not own majority of the shares. It can be, even owning 1% shareholding can make you majority shareholder if everybody owns less than 1%.
I have answered your question. Exactly, you asked, the way you asked me, so I've answered. I didn't
so
say.
Is it a government-owned entity?
It's a government-linked institution as defined by PFM Act.
Where in PFM Act does that define government linked?
I will need to get someone can get that. We can get you the section.
There is nothing in law called linked.
We can provide you. This is the brief I have.
Let's allow the PS team to look at it and tell us where in the PFM Act that's there. Hold on. Let him, before he leaves, we need to get that answer. Yes.
You see, and with all due respect to the PS, you know, the PS saying that that's the brief that he has means then that he has no understanding of what he's presenting to this committee. He has not taken his time to synthesize the information that he is adducing to the committee. And therefore, Mr. Chairman, my humble request would be that we call off this meeting so that then we give the PS time. You know, he's the accounting officer. He needs to have the understanding of any question that we're asking on his fingertips. Otherwise, we'll be trying to squeeze water where there's none. And at the end of the day, waste a lot of our time and his time when he would take time just to understand. Because, you see, the issues we're asking here are very pertinent. We are under scrutiny by the public because of this public debt. You know, any debt that is taken over by the government of Kenya becomes fast charge. You know, in our CFS expenditure. And therefore, this is a big thing, and I think we must not take it casually. You know, and I'm saying this with a lot of respect to the PS. He cannot tell this committee that this is a brief that I have. I believe as a responsible committee and a representative of the people, we would only be fair to give him time to go and understand what it is that we are looking for, so that then we don't sit here in vain. Parliament does not act in vain.
Thank you, Chairman. As much as my good colleague is talking about given time and to be answered, we just raised one question, and if the PS has not answered it satisfactorily, then he has the mandate to look for the correct answer. I'm asking now the second question. So before we write him up to go, let me also find out from my own question whether the PS has answers for it or not. For example, Chairman, my question is, the Kenya government is trying to take over the 485 USD on senior.
Let me just, we haven't gone into the next question. Just hold the.
Yeah, so I want my second question.
So, Mheshimiwa Daudi, Mheshimiwa Kenya. And if you allow me.
Okay, I just wanted to help the PS and give him and point him to the section that he should look at, section 51 of the PFM Act, which defines what a government entity is.
I think you should have allowed him and his team to do the research, and they give us that answer before they leave this place. Yeah. Yes, Mheshimiwa Makani?
Chairman, if you allow me, the question being asked by Honorable Daud is so fundamental that it's actually the build-up to all the other questions. So depending on how you answer that question, it will inform this committee whether it's need to continue or not. Because if you say KQ is a private firm or organization, that will change the whole analysis. If you say it's a public, it will change the whole analysis, and our questions will be informed on the basis of that question.
Let me repeat.
So I think it's important you take your time, go to the PFM Act and tell us where do we have government-linked institution?
Okay, so I don't have the law with me here. I'm expecting the. Can you give me? Yes, yes, yeah.
We don't approve
87. Okay, so if you go to section 86, first of all, 85 and 86 of the PFM Act, it talks about quarterly reporting by administrators of national public funds. The administrator of a national public fund established by the Constitution or an Act of Parliament shall prepare quarterly financial statements for the national public fund in a form prescribed by the Accounting Standards Board. Establishment and dissolution of state corporations and additional requirements for state corporations and government-linked corporations. Section 86 talks about establishment and dissolution of a state corporation. And then 87 talks about the national government entity may not invest in a state corporation or in a government-linked company. So I'm not sure, Chair, whether this is sufficient.
That is, you can invest in any company. If in one of your answers coming, you will talk about Everready and all these other entities that you invest in.
So
that
now
is an investment.
So let me answer your question, because I have said that KQ is a limited liability company established under the Companies Act, in which government owns 48.9%. It means from 100%, government does not own the balance, which is 51.1%. So it has majority shareholders, but it's not the majority shareholder.
Thank you very much. Will I point to you Section 51 of PFM Act?
Can I just let me just so that we just also make progress. Section 91. For the purposes of Section 86, 87, 88, and 89, government-linked corporation means a corporation in which the national government or the national government entity is a shareholder with less than 50% of the share capital of the corporation, and invests means any form of funding provided to a state corporation, including providing share capitals, loans, guarantees, grants, and subsidies. Or government-linked corporation.
Chair, you see, that's section 87.
91.
Let's go to section 87 first, that he read out.
Yes.
That the government cannot or should not guarantee an entity, an entity whereby it doesn't have, the majority shareholding. It is expressed, shall not. Just go to section 87 and read it out, then we can make progress. Because from what we're hearing, the guarantee was done because it is government linked. And therefore, even an organization whereby the government is linked by having a shareholding of even 1%, then if we were to take cue from what the PS is saying, the government can guarantee any other organization where it has interest, because that is the link.
Let me just now read 87 as you had requested, so that we can make progress. This is the national government or national government entity may not invest, okay? May not invest. A, in a state corporation. B, in a government-linked company, without the prior approval of cabinet. So that tells you if cabinet approves it, okay, which may be given only after taking into account any recommendations of the National Treasury regarding the financial implication of the investment. Are we together on that? Yeah? And can I, okay, yes, Dodi. It's good we make progress.
Chair, I want you to also to read into the record section 51, which talks about what is...
Dodi, I will read section 51, but for the record, I think section 87 answers the question that we had asked. So let me go to 51 as you have requested. You know, the trouble, you're a wakili, and for a layman like me, it answers the question, but it is you. Okay, section 51. The national government entity may borrow in accordance with this act or any other act of parliament. 2. A national government entity shall obtain the approval of the cabinet secretary for its intended program of borrowing, refinancing, and repayment of loans, A, over the medium term, and B, for the forthcoming financial year prior to the beginning of that financial year. 3. A national government entity shall also obtain the approval of the cabinet secretary before making any changes to its program of borrowing, refinancing, and repayment during a financial year. And 4. The national government is not liable to contribute towards the payment of any debt or liability of a national government entity unless the national government has guaranteed the debt or liability.
Chair, legal notice number 33 of 2015 now defines what a national government entity is that can borrow.
Legal notice of?
Number 33 of 2015. And a company, government-linked company, is not one of those national government entities. But we have established that the Republic of Kenya does not own the controlling shares of Kenya Airways, so it's a private company. We are talking about, we are guaranteeing loans, we are paying on behalf of Kenya Airways for the benefit of 48.9%, but 51.10% is benefiting who are private without paying anything. And we have taken over those loans. I want that to come out very clearly, unless we have any other document to show that we are gaining as a country. We are prepaying debt on behalf of 51.10%, while our benefit is only 48.9%. Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
So the loan taken here is good. There's a shareholding agreement with KQ. So it means it will have to be repaid.
Chair, we have a draft shareholding agreement, not a shareholding agreement. So as a parliamentary committee, we cannot discuss drafts.
Yeah, but we have updated you on where we are at the moment.
Yes, if I may ask, in more or less on the same, because you said in your opening statements that you do not have an innovation agreement as yet. And there was a document that was submitted to the Controller of Budget that was shared with this committee to facilitate the withdrawal of the funds from the consolidated fund for the payment in the financial year 23-24. So I don't know if you could shed some light on that, because this is a document that you shared with the Controller of Budget to access the consolidated fund of that payment. And on your letter here, you say there is no innovation agreement.
So actually, if I draw to page 3 of my statement, I say the parties to the sub-senior facility completed innovation and the payment obligations from the company to GOK in October 2023, with GOK through the National Treasury providing consent.
Yeah, but maybe, Mr. Chairman, because I think we need to go on record. In terms of shareholding for Kenya Airways, I think let's go on record so that we put it straight because it's public knowledge. The government shareholding is 48.9%. KQ Lenders Company 38.09%. KLM Royal Dutch Airlines 7.76%. The trustees of Kenya Airways, that is employee share ownership, 2.44%. Standard Chartered is 0.5%. Kamau Mike Maina, an individual, 0.27%. Shah Tana Charisma Fiji and Tana, 0.06%. Garot International Limited, 0.05%. Bernard Peter Wainaina, that's an individual, 0.02%. Moiga Peter Jega, an individual, 0.02%. And other shareholders combined, 1.89%. Now, the question you're asking, Bwana PS, is, at the end of the day, this loan will be paid by Kenyans, all Kenyans. We have 51% share, less than 50% shareholding by the government. So you want to drag all Kenyans to the issue where they are repaying a loan, and the benefits of that loan, at the end of the day, when you get the dividends of this company, more than 50% goes to individuals or individual companies or individuals. And that's why as a committee we have a problem. The problem is, do you think you are doing justice to Kenyans? Where you want us to go out there as representatives of the people, tell our people that they are paying for a loan which the government has taken over, because it's now your government loan. If you remember, Bwana PS, because we did the budget together with you, in your own budgeting for loan repayment and interest repayment, we did put 1.82 trillion. Part of that trillions, 1.82 trillion, we had KQ loan in there at the interest repayment. So these are the issues we have. That now the government is taking over a loan which over time has been benefiting individuals, which over time taxpayers in this country have gone out of their way to bail out KQ so many times from public taxes. So to me, these are, and that's what worries us as a committee. The other thing is, you have gone ahead and signed, this novation is already signed, but what you are calling the government shareholding loan agreement is not signed. So you go ahead, commit the government, but you have not even done the due diligence in terms of ensuring that KQ has signed this bit, so that by the time you start paying for them, we are sure they will repay the loan. What happens if they don't sign this document you have done with them? What will happen to Kenyans?
It's an on-lent loan to KQ. That's number one. And in the event that KQ does not pay, whatever we have lent is convertible loan to shares. So we become the majority shareholder. And so people of Kenya will be owning the company 100%.
Chairman, it's not an on-lent loan because it is being paid directly by the controller of budget to PEFCO. So how is that an on-lent loan? If it was loaned to KQ and then KQ uses their accounts to pay, we will have had a record of on-lent loan. But if we are paying directly from the consolidated fund, how is that an on-lent loan? And if it is an on-lent loan, where are the documents for that on-lent loan?
I think Cabinet is the one that approved, and it is approved as a convertible loan. So if in the event KQ does not pay, we end up with a majority shareholding. And I think this has happened where we have diluted the original shareholders by having more investment by way of loan.
But you can only dilute the other shareholders if you have an agreement in place, which we do not have right now. To be honest, I think for us to make progress, members and the PS, I think let me allow you guys to go relook at this document of KQ, so that rather than us going back and forth, we move into the other chapter, we give you time, and you come to the committee another time when you've done proper research and you get your legal team, and you come back for that. I think we make progress. Let's rest the matter of KQ for now.
Yes, Chair, but not without some of us being on record.
I will allow.
Just to put some more weight, Chair, on what you've just said.
I have made a ruling. Allow me to, please, Mheshimiwa Kwenya, with all due respect. You will get the opportunity, once the Treasury are back here, to answer the questions on KQ. So please, let's make progress. Let's move now. And PS, please commit to the committee that you will come back to answer this issue. Once we'll write to you on another time so that you can get yourself ready. And I think
I commit.
Let's move to the next agenda. Adani.
Okay, you had asked us to give a status of the proposal by the Adani Airports Holding Limited for the investment in the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, indicating an assessment of the costs and risks. And our response is as follows: that the review of the proposal by Adani Airports Holding Limited for the investment in the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport is currently ongoing. Once finalized, the National Treasury will give a comprehensive submission on the same. So I now go to question number 3.
Yes. Mr. Motubi.
Very short response.
Very short. That's a very serious question.
Well, I'm just actually trying to read where Zoom is.
Chair.
We are done with Adani first.
Okay, Mheshimiwa Zuleka.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'm amazed how the PS have just given us that short answer to such a serious questions that Kenyans are asking. We are seated here, Bwana PS, as representatives of the people of Kenya. This committee is an extension of Parliament. We are not just seated here to be given such a short answer. What I'm saying is, we have information about Adani. It's in the public domain. Everybody knows about it, and we have so much details. You've drafted a PIP contract with them. We are aware that there is an investment that they proposed. We are also aware that there is a process that is ongoing. With all the due respect, we were expecting you to give us the progress so far, even if it's not finalized, because we represent people here, and the people of Kenya are relying on us. Jomo Kenyatta International Airport is a government property, is a security area, is an area that means a lot to Kenyans. So we cannot just take that for an answer, and we know there's something that is going on. We really want to get to the bottom of this story today. Thank you.
Yes, Mheshimiwa Kwenya.
Yes, thank you, Chair. You know, I was expecting that PS maybe had another write-up, saying for what he presented to this committee, because this is one of the issues that are really a headache to us. I have enough text here from Gen Zs and the public at large on this issue. In fact, some of the protests that we witnessed last month and in the recent past partly were as a result of some of these deals. Mr. Chairman, I benefit to have sat in the Public Investments Committee in last Parliament, and there was a PIP by KQ and a private, KQ apparently was supposed to take over the running of JKIA, plus another would-be investor. And as a committee, we had to intervene in the midst of the negotiation, so that then we get to know the details. And we were able to do a report to the National Assembly that stopped the acquisition of JKIA by KQ. Because actually, if I can rephrase the words that were used as then, was a case of a beautiful girl having an admiration of a broke, beautiful girl admiring a rich guy, you know. And this happened to be the same thing, whereby now we are faced with Adani, who apparently is supposed to lease our airport for 35 years. And the details that we have are very scanty. We must involve the public in this matter, and therefore the opening up of this document is timely and must happen as soon as today, Mr. Chairman. Otherwise, as just like we've done with KQ issue, I believe it's a high time as a committee we retreated and did a report, or we do a report that is going to be presented to the National Assembly to stop any further dealings with this matter until all the details are brought to the public for scrutiny through their representatives. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves into a place whereby Parliament or any other protected house is going to be invaded by the citizens because they have every right in the matters of decisions that are made in this republic. Therefore, Mr. P.S., again, with all due respect, this is a thorny issue. Some of us, our re-election is based on how we handle this matter. And therefore, to us, it's a matter of career progression. And therefore, we have to take it seriously. We have to interrogate every detail and have our public satisfied as to the deals that we are making as a country. Otherwise, this is going to be another finance bill. A good deal that may go sour because of lack of information.
Okay, yeah, Daudi.
Thank you, Chair. On a PS, and I know you have your PPP unit with you, Mr. Kirigo is sitting right next to you. This matter of Adani is a very public thing. It is being discussed in bars, in places of worship, in government offices, in villages, everywhere in Kenya. Kenya being Kenya, there's nothing very secretive. All the 315 pages of the Adani proposal is also in the public domain. What we want as a committee, we don't want to come at the end or the tail end of such a public, such a very important discussion. I think as a public servant, you should respect your employers who are the public. And when the public needs information, it is not that hard for you to give that information. As much as people who are experts will look at this proposal, I am told that a lot of people in government call it unsolicited. But that is not true. We have been going to India a lot. It was solicited, it is there, it is in the public domain, the 315 pages. Please, don't let other people drive that narrative. Don't make it secretive. Members of the fourth estate are here. They may write that something that was not said because we are hiding it. So it is very important that you share with this and probably bring your transport PS with you next time when you are coming here so that we interrogate. If it is a good deal and you convince us it's a good deal, why not? So, but if you say it is ongoing, we will be very, very, very apprehensive of what that ongoing means. Thank you.
Mheshimiwa Kasalu.
Thank you, Chair. This is a very serious committee. And Chair, we are actually supposed to be on the ground with our people. We are on recess. But we have taken our time off to be with our people and come here. And it's not really good the way the PS is handling these matters in a clandestine manner. Because these are serious questions that have been asked and we need serious responses. I think this is the third or fourth question and we are just postponing. So to sit here and be told that the process is ongoing and that when they have more detail, then they'll come back, that is not something that we are going to accept in this committee. We need the PS to be more serious and whenever we ask for questions, they comes appropriately prepared. Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Daktari Makadi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm sure the PS is very much aware of what the Constitution says. But just to remind him, if you look at 95(2), it says the National Assembly deliberates on and resolves issues of concern to the people. PS, you are very much aware our airport was almost attacked by the Gen Zs. And the cause of that problem was this matter of Adani Airport's holdings. And that's why Honorable Daud is saying is public knowledge. So what we expected was to get lots of details so that through this sitting, would have been able to educate Kenyans on where we are, what are the challenges, what are the future plans for this arrangement, so that at the end of the day, we don't have a repeat of what happened. And unfortunately, we've not managed to get that. So I still think it is important from where you sit, because you are the accounting officer, you explain to Kenyans where we are. In the process of doing that, then you'll also be helping us, because you'll be able to explain to Kenyans when we go to our constituencies what the position is. So really, this short answer, I tend to agree with Honorable Kasalu that we've taken our time off to come and sit here, listen to you, but we don't seem to be achieving much, which would be very bad for us, those who have traveled from far to come and listen to you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, PS. Okay, Mheshimiwa Makela.
At the tail end.
Chair, for once I thought you're part of Treasury team.
I agree, Chairman, that this Adani deal is in the public domain. And even me, I have a copy of the feasibility study of Adani. What appears, what I request you, Chair, as you make your ruling, is that in the next meeting, let's have the CEO of Kenya Airways or the person that operates Jomo Kenyatta, the national Kenya Airports Authority, together with the Minister of Transport, because we have information, we have data. Even the workers that work in Jomo Kenyatta National Airport are saying we are on a risk. We will be sacked, all of us. So instead of dealing with the PS alone here, we need KAA CEO together with the transport sector, the minister is responsible for transport, and of course the National Treasury, which is responsible for holding shares even around that particular place. So, and the principal secretary for National Treasury. So in our next meeting, so that we have answers, and for all of these things, is the three actors must be present here.
Thank you, members. Before the PS, for the record, PPPs, yes, there is the implementing agency, but the home of PPP is Treasury. I think the more we need to understand that. And upon PS, I happened to sit in the vetting committee, and a man who was a former minister for transport gave more information on Adani when we asked him those questions on the vetting than you have given us here, honestly speaking. And I'm sure you have more information because that guy was out and then came back again and went to a different ministry. And it's in public domain that there was a session called in by KA on its employees on public participation. So I think it will be good if you could just give a brief to these members and to the parliament and nations at large, so that at least that can give us a reason we send your way to give us a longer, proper presentation. Because it's really awkward, and it puts us in a very difficult situation where every matter that have come, we're saying, okay, can we change? And we have spent a lot of time and energy here. So this Adani thing is really hot, and it's best if you can just give a proper small brief, so that then I can, at least as a committee, we can look at a way forward on this matter, rather than just one sentence that you put on your presentation. So would you be able to? The chair cannot be put out of order. The chair cannot be out of order. Eh? So you can request. Okay. Go ahead, Zuleka.
Thank you, Chairman. I think the PS is not yet ready for this committee, and I feel like this is not good for the public. As my brother here said, the media are here and everything will be out at the end of the day. So with all due respect, we love the government, we are one government, the legislative and the executive. We are not fighting, we are not interrogating on other interests, we are just doing for the interest of our public we both represent. I suggest the PS to go and do his assignment well and come back to this committee when he is well prepared, and we can inform the public and everybody what is right. Right now, my opinion, we cannot proceed. Thank you.
I think I just was about to make a ruling, that's why you went on that. But let him respond, because it's only the members who've been asking, so let's allow him to respond. Yes.
So, Honorable Chairperson, I have heard the members, and I think it's only fair that I come back with a comprehensive report on this matter. And
Okay.
I'm happy to be accompanied by the members of the Ministry of Transport and any other person you deem fit.
Okay.
Chairman, just allow me.
Okay.
kindly. You know, PS, I have always known you to be a very bold gentleman in every matter that you present to this committee. Today, something is not right. I don't know from whichever position you're coming from, but seems like you're tight-lipped in as far as these matters that we are trying to interrogate are concerned. And let me tell you for sure, it is becoming extremely difficult to defend this government that we love because of lack of that information that we're seeking. The word there is that somebody is benefiting from this deal, the Adani deal. And maybe not. Why wouldn't it just be fair, Chair, for us to be versed with all the information that we are asking, so that then we communicate to our people, because we are the link, we are their representatives. If you deny us that information and the responses that we have on record, Chair, and that's why I was opposed to the fact you asking the PS to give an oral presentation, because that hold no water. It is because we are answerable to the people. And PS, we are saying this with a lot of respect. We have been here before, during Uhuru Kenyatta's time. He was pushing to have KQ and another investor take over Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and which Parliament was opposed. Then the chair, who is now the governor of Mombasa, the Honorable Abdul Somad, and our committee came up with a status report just before the deal was done. You know, there was this kind of presentation. This was the first time you get this kind of presentation, a two-line presentation. And when you get this kind of presentation to the public, so they interpret that there are things that are being hidden below the carpet. And therefore, Mr. PS, with all due respect, I seek the chairman, because this is a matter that is in public domain. It is urgent. We must confine ourselves within a certain time that this matter must be dispensed, so that then we satisfy the public. Otherwise, we cannot tell the PS, go, you have luxury of time, you can come next year and tell us what is happening between Adani and
JKIA. Your concern is noted, and I think, can you give yes, Mheshimiwa Daudi?
I just want to say that as much as the PS is also tight-lipped, the chair is also too soft on the PS.
I thought we were working here through as one committee, and I've been allowing you guys to ask the questions, and I think it will not be fair for you to say I'm just too soft. I'm allowing you guys to ask the hard questions. He's imputing improper motive. I think we should get rid of this guy. So I think give us a time frame when you think you can come back on this matter, so that we go on record, Mr. PS.
I mean, because of the interest, I think we can come back even next week or 2 weeks from now.
1 week is okay. So let's plan for next week will not be possible. So let's say in 2 weeks. Okay. So that that it also gives you more time. 2 weeks.
Chairman, I agree, 2 weeks, that is very substantial.
Okay.
For us to get, not to return them again. They want to finalize on this matter.
Not only this one, also on the KQ one as well. Okay, let's make progress now, members. Huh? No, there's the privatization program, sir. You've made a decision before.
And the year 24-25 financial years, indicating the earmarked projects. So let me start with the proposed privatization program. Honorable Chairperson, pursuant to the provisions of the Privatization Act 2023, the National Treasury identified the following 11 entities for the privatization program. One is the Kenya Literature Bureau, where the government has shareholding of 100%. Kenyatta International Convention Center, where the government has 100%. National Oil Corporation of Kenya, where the government has 100%. The Kenya Seed Company, where the government has a shareholding of 53% through Agriculture Development Corporation. 5 is Mwe Rice Mills, where the government has 55% through National Irrigation Board Authority, and 45% through Mwe Rice Growers Multipurpose Cooperative Society. Then we have Western Kenya Rice Mills Limited, where we have 74%, the government has 74% shareholding through National Irrigation Authority, 11.7% through Aero Scheme, 5.7% through West Kano Scheme, and 6.1% through Bunyala Scheme. Then we have Kenya Pipeline Company Limited, where the government has 100% shareholding. We have New Kenya Cooperative Creameries Limited, where the government has 100% shareholding. We have Numerical Machine Complex, where the government has 51% shareholding through Kenya Railways and 49% through Kenya Shipyards Limited. We have the number 10, Kenya Vehicle Manufacturers Limited, where the government has 35% shareholding. And the final one, number 11, Rivertex East Africa Limited, where the government has 100% shareholding through Moi University. The privatization process for these 11 companies has been suspended for the time being following a court order. The court order was issued on 4th December when the process of public participation had just begun. I now move to the second item, which is ongoing privatization as of 2023 when the Privatization Act came into effect. Honorable Chairperson, when the Privatization Act 2023 came into effect in 2023, privatization processes for 14 entities were ongoing under the 2009 privatization program, and in accordance with the repealed act, that is the Privatization Act of 2005, Section 68 of the Privatization Act 2023 stipulates that ongoing privatizations shall be determined and finalized in accordance with the Privatization Act of 2023. The 14 entities were as follows. Number 1 is Agrochemical and Food Company Limited, where the government has a shareholding of 56.34%. And this ownership of shareholding by government of Kenya is through Agriculture Development Corporation and Kenya Development Corporation. The second one is Kenya Meat Commission, where the government has 100% shareholding. The third is Ark Hotel, where the government has 5.6% shareholding through Kenya Development Corporation. The fourth is Cabernet Hotel Limited, where the government has 98.2% shareholding through Kenya Development Corporation. Number 5 is Mount Elgon Hotel Limited, where the government has 72.92% through Kenya Development Corporation. Number 6 is Golf Hotel Limited, where the government has 80% through Kenya Development Corporation. We have number 7, Sunset Hotel Limited, where the government has 95.4% through Kenya Development Corporation. Number 8 is Kenya Safaris Lodge and Hotels Limited, where the government has 82% shareholding through Kenya Development Corporation. Number 9 is Development Bank of Kenya, where the government has 89.31% through Kenya Development Corporation. Then we have Consolidated Bank of Kenya, where the government has 93.4%. Number 11 is Kenya Wine Agencies Holdings, Kwal, East Africa. It's Kenya Wine Agencies Limited, where the government has 43.77% through Kenya Development Corporation. Number 12 is International Hotels Kenya Limited, also known as Hilton Hotel, where the government has 40.57% through Kenya Development Corporation. Number 13 is Kenya Hotels Properties, and it is also known as Intercontinental Hotel, where the government has 33.83% through Kenya Development Corporation. And the last one, number 14, which is Mountain Lodge Limited, that the government has a shareholding of 39.11% through Kenya Development Corporation. The privatization process of the entities above are at various stages of implementation by the Privatization Authority, with a notable exception of the Consolidated Bank of Kenya Limited, arising from an old legal case. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, I now go to the last item, which is listed government-owned enterprises and the government-linked corporations. Honorable Chairperson, the Privatization Act 2023 does not apply to sale of shares in the secondary market. The Privatization Act, therefore, does not apply to the sale of government shares in the secondary market for the following listed government-owned enterprises and government-linked corporations. We have one Kenya Electricity Generating Company that the government has a shareholding of 70%. Number 2 is Kenya Power and Lighting Company Limited, that the government has a shareholding of 51%. Number 3 is Safaricom Limited, that the government has a shareholding of 35%. Number 4 is Kenya Commercial Bank Limited, that the government has a shareholding of 19.76%. Number 5 is Kenya Reinsurance Corporation, which the government has 60%. The Liberty Kenya Holdings, formerly known as CFC Insurance Holdings, that the government has 0.9%. Number 7 is Stanbic Holdings Limited, or PLC, formerly CFC Stanbic Limited, that the government has 1.1%. Number 8 is Housing Finance Company of Kenya Limited, that the government has a shareholding of 1.59%. Number 9 is Nairobi Securities Exchange, that the government has 3.36% shareholding. Number 10 is East Africa Portland Cement Company Limited, that the government has 25.3% shareholding. And finally, Everready East Africa Limited, that the government has 17.2% through Kenya Development Corporation. The Cabinet in June 2024 approved the divestiture of the government of Kenya shareholding in 6 of the 11 listed companies above. And these are East Africa Portland Cement Company Limited. Number 2 is Nairobi Securities Exchange. Number 3 is Housing Finance Corporation of Kenya Limited. Number 4 is Stanbic Holdings Limited. Number 5 is Stanbic Holdings, which is CFC Stanbic Limited, and Everready East Africa Limited. The process of sale of GOK shareholding in the 6 listed companies is currently ongoing. So I need now to go to number 4, which is a review of the rate of loan. Maybe I should stop here first.
Yes, Mheshimiwa Kenya.
You know, and I'll still go back to what I said. I think the committee, allow me to use this term, you're taking this too far. Chairman, if I will take you back to what the committee had requested, is completely different from what is being presented to this committee. Because the question was the performance of privatization program for the 2023, 2024, and 2024-25 financial years, indicating the earmarked projects. You know, performance. I would have expected that the peers would have enumerated figures in terms of what the government expects to get from the sale of the said corporations. But Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman,
Konya. Let me say amen. You keep on saying Mr. Speaker, so I think I'll end up being the Speaker in the next National Assembly.
But Mr. Chairman, what the PS has ended up doing is just giving a narrative of what is already known to us. So he has just listed the companies that are earmarked for privatization, the court orders they are in. And Mr. Chairman, I think this committee has powers. If we were to invoke Article 125 of the Constitution, then we have the latitude to summon the CEOs of all these organizations so that they can give us the status of these organizations, so that the PS does not belabor in just reporting what is in public domain. And I think, Chair, we have every responsibility, we have every power emanating from the Constitution to summon anybody. And that is the spirit of the Constitution. All these institutions that are earmarked for privatization, we can summon them to appear before this committee, give us this information that we are trained to milk from the PS, and which he certainly seems not ready, or he doesn't have the information because of the work in his office, Chair. We also, I think as a committee, also being unfair to him to ask him all these questions as pertains to KPC, as pertains to all these hotels, and then expect him to stabilize the shilling at the same time. I mean, we are asking too much from him. Yet we have we have the power from the Constitution to summon these people because they are there, and they are the accounting officers. His business would be to tell us where we are in terms of privatization. We will be having these figures coming from the CEOs of these organizations.
Okay,
thank you, Chair. Mine is not a question, but it seems you have given us a list of appears of government entities that you want to privatize. But we have only percentages, none of them has a value. And we can only talk about privatizing when you know the value of these entities that you want to privatize. So why are you avoiding values? Is it something that's being hidden? Do you want just to, you want just sell this organization throwaway prices? See, so you want to know also the value of these organizations that you are selling.
Okay, Mheshimiwa Daud.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, PS. I think the privatization program has not picked up some of these, the old things, and so let's not belabor this one. But of interest on a PS, the President of the Republic, on a national address, talked about, because of the economic problems and the fact that the finance bill was withdrawn, not withdrawn, but rejected by Parliament, by the people, sorry, that there will be divestiture or sale of a number of government entities. What this committee was really, really interested in is whether there was a thinking that has gone into that program. Because these old things about our hotel, work hotel, as long as I've been around, we have been hearing about them. But this thing that the President of the Republic has committed to the Kenyan public, those are the things that we want you to shed light on. When is a proposed sale? How much will be this? What are we expecting from that? Because I remember we did the supplementary one of the budget. We cut a lot of expenditure. We also did some extra borrowing. We were hoping, at least me and the rest of the Kenyans that I represent, were hoping that that hole will be filled by the sale, the proceeds from the sale of those number of institutions that the President said that will be privatized. So, my question, how many will be privatized? Is it the number that the President said? Because those were outside what you have just reported. And what, because he only talked about number, we want to know which are those institutions, state-owned corporations that are going to be privatized, and what are their values. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Well, it appears I was hoping myself that you will tell this committee, how did you prioritize? On which institutions you're going to sell or privatize. The criteria used to arrive at that is what I was hoping to hear from you, to be honest, so that Kenyans can know the reason why this, so that we can convince Kenyans in advance. You remember the hue and cry when we said KICC is on the list. Kenyans went. So this, I was hoping, would be an opportunity for you to share with Kenyans how you arrived at these companies that you've listed and the criteria that you have used. And Mheshimiwa Ijara, when the chair is on the floor, you allow him to. Oh, he spoke in Somali as well. So I think that is what we expected from Treasury. And so that you can also, finally, I would want to hear your comments. Section 22 requires that upon approval of the privatization program, it shall be submitted to the National Assembly for ratification. I want to hear your comment on that. And your response on what the members have raised and what I've just raised, so that I can just make a ruling on the way forward on this matter.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, probably I needed to start by saying that we are undertaking SOE reforms, state enterprise reforms. We have 294, about 293 state-owned enterprises, and we have classified them. Some are regulators, some have undertaken commercial transactions that could best be done by private sector, like these ones that we have earmarked for privatization, because government doesn't have to do that business. It can best be done by private sector. So maybe when we come back in the next round, we can give you the comprehensive list of entities, because some, you may have heard that we have about 47 that we are merging to create, to come up with about 23. In other words, we want to make them leaner. Some of them have overlapping functions, duplicating functions, and we are reforming them. But your specific question, your question was more on privatization. And so we have only answered the way, in accordance with the way you asked us. And we couldn't really give more than we have listed here, because first, the matter, the ones that we had been earmarked for privatization, someone went to court, and the matter is in court. And we have to pen until such time the court makes a decision. Then there are those that are government linked, which don't have to be privatized, because you can use the secondary market to make progress. So I think really this is what we have, but in terms of values, we could also give you, I think the best value comes from the market, not the one we determine. Of course, you go to the market when you have an estimate, you know how much you are likely to get. Those again we can provide you. But since I have the Director General here in charge of this matter, maybe I give him the chance to add to what I have said. Yeah.
TG.
Thank you very much, Chairman and members of the committee. So I first align with what the PS has put across. When it comes to the matters around privatization, so the position is that all of course, I'm sure members are already aware that we have struggled around this process from 2008 to today. So we've really not had any privatization coming through from 2008 to date. And that's why in 2022, when this administration came in, so one of the things that had to be looked at was the challenges around driving privatization processes effectively. And one of the challenge that we had was a challenge in the law. And that's why we had to come to this house to be able to enumerate what the problem was and what the intended solution would have been in terms of driving privatizations in a better manner. And we appreciate what Parliament was able to do to help us get us a more modern privatization law, which after that came into place, so it required that the process of privatization was fast. The National Treasury was, because they're the ones holding the policy framework, to come up with the privatization program. So once you propose a privatization program, and I'll be able to explain, what it goes into coming up with that program, then of course you take that to a public participation process. So once you've incorporated the views of the public, then you take that program to cabinet for additional input and approval. Once you're done with cabinet, then you take that program to Parliament, to the National Assembly for their review and approval. Then once it's approved, then that program comes in, maybe with input, modifications by Parliament. Then it comes and we hand it over to the Privatization Commission, which goes ahead now to execute that privatization program as now approved both by Cabinet and approved by the National Assembly. And of course, from there, you will keep providing on annual basis the performance of the program to the National Assembly. So the first instance is to say, so what did you use to come up even with that proposed program that we have a problem with in court? And the first instance, Mr. Chairman, is that what you are looking at is areas where we were bleeding as a country, number one. So you needed to reduce the fiscal risks that emanate from some of those corporations. So that is one reason. The other reason was you also wanted to make sure that some of these organizations which are not being run efficiently, but could better be run efficiently by the private sector so that they could be able to withstand the market dynamics, then that also forms a candidate for privatization. And the third reason is that you also have instances where we will also be able to plug in our budget deficit using some of the proceeds that come from privatization. And for example, if you go to that program, look at some of the examples that we had. Like when you look at the smaller companies, like the Moya rice mills, for example. So for those particular entities, they've struggled over time because of the handle that government has continued to hold. And it was a good idea to let the farmers, the farmer cooperatives, being the other anchor shareholders, to be able to participate in that process and fully control that commercial exercise by allowing them to exercise their preemptive rights and be able to remove that hurdle from government. Because applying the government processes to companies like those particular ones, if you have to go through procurement laws, go through the approval processes that you needed, then definitely that's why they've been overtaken by the private entities. Then in some very strategic places, look at two companies, for example, KPC, and look at even KICC, for example. So go to KPC. So when you look at KPC, you are basically trying to replicate some of the successes that have happened in the privatizations that have been done in the past. For example, what happened in Kenyan. So you still have quite some work to be done at KPC, for example, in terms of additional investments. You already have a lot of pressure from South Sudan to be able to do a pipeline to the other East African countries. So the kind of resources that would be required to be able to run that particular process would mean you needed to also get a market-driven process, where if you had listed this company in the stock exchange, you'd allow Kenyans to be able to invest in it. And then when you have a cash call, like what happened in Kenyan, when it was privatized in 2006, government was able to cash in about 30 billion shillings to plug into the exchequer. But after that, all the investments that have been done, you came in when you only had around 23% of green energy projects then. Now you're talking about 91%. And all those investments have been done using the capital markets. So this company went ahead in 2009 to issue a bond, 25 billion bond, which Kenyans undertook, and it was fully subscribed. And you're able to use that money to do the programs that have been done in Olkaria. After that, they were able to also come back to the market to be able to undertake additional investments in Masinga and reform what we have in Mombasa. And with that, they came to the market and raised additional capital through a rights issue. So for all those, if we were to depend on the exchequer and say we come for budgetary allocation to be able to do that, then definitely we would really be tracking behind and would now be talking about power rationing and the rest. So for strategic reasons,
thank you, Gigi. If I can just I wish you had put all that into the writing of what you had just done here. That will have just made life easy for all of us. And I think if you can, as you said, imagine yourself the way you're explaining verbally. If you're just that written document here, and we take that to the national, you'll actually make life easier for yourselves once you go out there for public participation, because they'll have a proper understanding of why you're privatizing these institutions. So help us to also help you and also get the public to understand. So I will kindly urge you, those, whatever you're saying now, if you could also put it in your report so that when next time you're coming back, we have it on record, written, so that any document that you provide to us, we always attach it to the report that we give to the National Assembly on the floor of the House, so that it's on record and any member of the public who wants to go through it can easily access it. Because if you tell us verbally, it only stays with us here.
That with the recent intervention of G2G between Uganda, G2G for the fuel of Uganda, still Kenya Pipeline is benefiting. So for us to just come here and give us an explanation that you need to extend the line from Eldoret to South Sudan, whether you extend it, at the end of the day, the income generating unit, it is a transport income. And that transport income can support Kenya Pipeline to service their loan. So I think through the chair, my request is we need to meet the CEOs and the board chairs or board members of these companies before even we meet the PS for treasury. That is my take. Kind of.
Okay, Mheshimiwa is noted. I think about the PS and the team, let's allow you to go back, redo the documentations and the items that we had conversation on, and then we reschedule a meeting in 2 weeks' time. So, members, thank you very much for all your inputs. I think it's best we really allow. I think we've had 3 issues and most of them have not been to our expectations. I think it's best we allow them to retreat, redo all the reports, and we can also give them time to look at let them allow them so that we just make that. PS and your team, thank you for your time. And yes?
Sorry to, but I just want to, on the last question, as the chair, as the PS is going to do their homework, if you look the schedule 5 they gave us, please, that data is not complete. Even if they come with next time that data, it won't help us. For example, just quickly, I just want to show the committee. If you look at the development partners number of projects, so we want the number of projects to be in detail. The loan, when was it taken, all those things. Kindly.
Okay, that's noted. I hope you've taken note of that. So yes, Abdikadir?
I think we have asked the PS to come with a lot of information, and that is not something that we can do with one session. So we can have different sessions so that we can exhaustively discuss some of this matter.
Okay, your concern is noted, Mheshimiwa. So I think let's allow that matter to rest. Being no any other business, this meeting. Yes, Mr. PS.
Thank you, honorable members. I think I agree with what the honorable member said is important. I remember we had indicated we needed a session with you because we have so much information to share with you. We only come here guided by the questions you have asked, but if we got a chance, we can take you through a number of these. So maybe that retreat is important even as we come for your formal sessions and we are ready for the retreat.
With the issue of retreat, with the issue of, I think we'll have a discussion on the site rather than just, so let's look at what we can do on that as you prepare on that other issue. So,
And
anything, yeah?
Yeah, I think I also would have wanted to just update you because PPP is a lot, and he could just in a minute tell you how many projects we have, what is the value, and then as we prepare to bring you now the details.
We are having a meeting with him, but let's allow him maybe just a couple of minutes, members. Just, okay, I hope you will not go more than 2-3 minutes.
I won't, sir. No, thank you first very much, and it's an honor to be here once again. It's always been a good pleasure, especially sitting with this committee and you, Chair. In terms of PPP, there's much more detail, certainly. We should have shared in terms of the Adani solution transaction. We do have the details, and we'll come back with much more detail to give you satisfaction, yeah? Including any documents which have been submitted, and whatever our responses to any submissions that have been made. So we're ready for that when we come in the next 2 weeks.
On the same, because you see, it's a very active matter. No, Chair, let me be on record, because this is an ongoing matter. And I'm afraid by the time maybe these gentlemen come back to this committee, the deal will be done. If the deal is done before, if the deal is done before we canvass over this matter, then we'll be time bad and we'll have been overtaken by events. And I thought that, Mr. Chair, you take cue from your predecessor in Public Investments Committee, where this committee was hired from, and budget and the rest of the places. And maybe stop this transaction until such a time we are vast with every information. And no, I mean, the only bad thing about this is that Parliament is not in session, because we would have tabled a status report as soon as Tuesday, so that then we stop the process until we are well versed with all the information. That is the business of this committee.
Yes, but we have to do that through a report to the House. So they have committed to come and give. They will come and give us a report on that issue in 2 weeks. Well, we will deal with it if that happens. But for now, we have told them to bring the matter within 2 weeks. So let's allow them to do that. And
you will go home.
I'm sure we will all come and support you and make sure you come back. We will forgo ours. So thank you very much. Mheshimiwa, asante sana, members of the press, team from Treasury, thank you so much. The meeting is officially adjourned. Asante.